All right, I'm in the comments. All right, so you guys, I'll be monitoring the comments section, so you guys pop up with your questions and let me know what's up, and we'll get a mess.
Can you type that on the live?
All right, I'm in the comments.
We're going live in 1 minute. 1 minute and counting. You trying to leave? Let me mute this video.
Questions, let me know what's up. We'll get a mess.
Can you type that on the live? I don't know why I muted it thinking I'm turning the video off. I'm so damn behind. 1 minute and counting. You trying to leave? I hear the delay. Of course. He said, "Can I curse?"
And he cursed. Fuck yeah.
So
there is a delay.
It is, yeah. How you doing? How was your birthday?
My birthday was dope. I had spent it by myself, actually, listening to music, catching up on some old programs that I hadn't watched in a long time. Caught up with my kids. Called me. I had a good time. It was
you
a good.
Sound like an old man, but really.
Look, come on! I'm in the city during quarantine. There's nothing open.
I hear you. I hear you.
That I could do. Yeah, I was good with just chilling by myself.
Well, shout out to the Geminis. It is Gemini season. My baby girl.
Yes.
Is today. Shout out.
And speaking of birthdays, it's my daughter's birthday today. Jade. She turned 21. Happy birthday, Jade.
Both of our babies' birthdays today. There you go.
That's right. Your daughter's birthday today too.
And Tupac. It's a special day, damn it. All right, so we're gonna get it going, I think. Hopefully people join us as we go along. But we have Michael Berkley sitting with us. I didn't include your title. But can you state that title for me, your proper title?
Illustrious Michael Berkley, 33rd degree.
Illustrious Michael Berkley, 33rd degree.
Correct.
All right. Welcome. Thank you for joining us this evening. We have a lot that we're going to kind of discuss. I also want to give a shout out to our sponsors. Thank you. Looking out. We appreciate y'all.
Good looking.
So Michael Berkley is joining us to talk about a new piece of work that he's working on, Freemasonry, a Nubian View. And what we're going to talk about tonight is a little bit about mind science, Black economics, and Black power. In light of all of the events that have been taking place around the world globally, on top of the pandemic, now we have these protests. And so we felt like it was an opportune time to get together and kind of talk about some of this shit. Now, I will tell you, this work has been in the making for years, beyond years, decades, centuries, if you will. But I've known this brother at least 12 years, and we were really on some die-hard shit about 10 years ago, and just kind of changed our pace. And I think with growth, having a different understanding of how to come together as Black people. So I'm excited again to have him join us. Do you know who this guy is?
Definitely. That's my teacher, my master teacher, Dr. Malachi York, 33rd over 720 degrees.
33rd over 720 degrees. Mathematics, baby. So this is Dr. York, and I see you right there, standing right next to him.
So what this is, this picture shows when we first came out, Dr. York had me start the Masonic Lodge for the Nubian Nation. I made probably 300 brothers Masons during my tenure as the worshipful master for the Nubian Grand Lodge.
Do you, can you tell us a little bit about Nubian Nation for people that might not know what it is?
Yeah, so what we did is in Eatonton, Georgia, which was the last point, Dr. York started in New York. ended up in Eatonton, Georgia. We had 476 acres in Eatonton, Georgia. We found out that we found out that if we could have got 1,000 acres, we could have started our own county in Georgia. So if y'all remember the story of Wesley Snipes getting arrested, Wesley Snipes would go buy the land next to us, and Stevie Wonder was going to buy the land across from us. It would have gave us 1,000 acres to start our own black county within middle Georgia, which is straight in the middle of KKKville.
Wow. That's some bold shit right there.
Yeah, so we were making some serious moves that upset a lot of people.
Right.
So Eatonton is like, it's Putnam County and it's right next to Greene County. Greene County is where Reynolds Plantation is, you know, the big cigarette people, Reynolds, nothing but mansions, rich people. And we were just too much of a threat to them as far as a black group, you know, blacks, I always call it black supremacies group, a black supremacies group in middle Georgia, developing our own land. So the idea was to create a replica of Walt Disney, an African Walt Disney type thing. So, you know, it's different pictures that you'll see. This picture right here, I was one of the main security guards for the Nwabia Nation. Dr. York had me go join the police department. So we pretty much infiltrated the police department. So we knew exactly what they were doing and how they would come at us, because they constantly sent their sheriff at us. At this point in this picture, I was actually in charge. So when the sheriff department came up, I was the go-to man to confront the Caucasians, white folks, when they came up to land trying to do their bogus shit.
So
now,
go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you to explain that picture. What's going on in this picture right here, Mike?
So right here, this was an event we had where Jesse Jackson came to the land. And one thing I do want to express, one of the old sayings is, and I found out, you know, years later, first the feds will send in Al Sharpton, so he came first, and then they'll send in Jesse Jackson. And then after Jesse Jackson comes, you pretty much can, you know that the feds are behind him. So Sharpton came, I was in charge of the telephone at this time, you know, we didn't have cell phones. 17 years later, I realized that Al Sharpton was wearing a wire because his lawyer called right before he got up on stage. And I blocked it. So if Al Sharpton's watching this, I'm the one that jacked you up and made you say that you're not a racist like Dr. York.
Take that, Al Sharpton.
Uh-oh, shots fired.
So I noticed that there was a lot of beautiful architecture, sculptures, and buildings, very Egyptian-esque. Did you all do this?
Yeah, so you had the brothers that actually carved many of these statues. Some of the statues we were taken out, you know, brought in from different places, but most of the stuff was carved by our people. The pyramid that you saw with the brothers standing there, that was approximately 40 feet high. The top was actually, we didn't have the modern day equipment. I think the only thing we had was boom, everything else was hands, shovels, nails, hammers, and they pulled that glass up on top of the pyramid with a rope and pulled it up. So it's, you know, it was amazing being a young brother to see this develop in, you know, America, especially during this time. It's like, dude, if we can do it, anybody can do it.
Now,
absolutely,
this photo is one of my favorites. I don't know what y'all was doing or what's going on, but it's just so powerful to me.
Right. So in 2000, we went to Washington, D.C. and actually did a procession around the office. So, you know, we were aligned with what was going on. 2000 brought in a new decade. You know, astrologically, we know that the feminist energy came in. So we went as far as the nation and did a procession in D.C.
Nice.
Dope.
The art and sculptures.
Right.
Now, let me ask, are these structures still standing or?
They knocked them down. They pretty much took us out. But one thing that they can't take is we got to know how we know it can be done again.
So you mentioned astrological alignment, you all being in tune with sort of the power that can generate. So you all went to a certain place to harness that power, I'm assuming. There are talks of magic happening in the Nubian nation? Was that something that you're familiar with?
Well, I can say some strange things went on that I can't explain, and I saw with my own eyes. So you hear the story of Dr. York, and I done seen a lot of things. Me personally, I don't like talking about him because people think I'm crazy, but I didn't see, I'll say this, I didn't see him change as far as height and appearance and face and stuff like that. So I remember talking to this one guy from Mali, and his grandfather used to do the same thing. So it's a certain art that they knew that most of us, well, I don't know.
We lost the art of.
Right. So, but they do exist because you have people that have seen it during this day and time.
Well, as Native American culture, you have skinwalker legends and traditions as well. So it's shape-shifting is part of a lot of different cultures around the world.
Right.
Beautiful. So that leads us into this mind science. There is a lot of work that you do and research that you do on different things. I know you study numbers, mathematics, different things of that nature. But this letter Q, I was reading some of your research behind that, and it was kind of very interesting. In fact, I shared it with Bo. I don't know if you had a chance to take a look at it. Whoops, sorry, my bad. But I want to know. Can you talk more about this? Like, what is the phenomena behind the letter Q?
In actuality, it wasn't our research, it was somebody else's research.
Oh.
And so what they're saying is that Donald Trump is connected to this organization. Either he's with them, is two sides to the story.
Oh, cute.
Either he's with them,
cute.
And to where you have John F. Kennedy's son that supposedly died, or whatever they saying he died, but then they saying that he didn't die. And the organization is called Q, to where these people are doing time travel. Mm. So they're doing a lot of stuff because Donald Trump is exposing a lot of things that we had talked about for like the past 30 years. And my theory, and I could be wrong, but I've never cared. Still talk about my theory. We're taking it out of the republic, and they're giving it to more or less the capitalists. And people don't like capitalism, I'm different, but they're giving it to the business people, right, to run the nation. They're exposing a lot of the pedophile and stuff that's going on right now, and so it is a very interesting thing. The letter Q, interesting for the simple fact that it has a 360 as far as the circle, and it has one line in it. So it's different stuff going on with this letter. So it's
I'm particularly curious about that because my nickname is Q. So yeah. I wanted to hear you go a little further on that.
So when you look at as far as Q, right? Q is the 17th letter in the alphabet, mm-hmm. right? And so when you have 17th letter, you have the 1 and the 7. As above, so below, the Africans teaching. The 1 and 7, so the 7 represents the mysteries, and the 1 is the individual. So right there, mm-hmm. we know that this person is a higher level, and the higher level mysteries, and focuses on self and improving self. So that's just the numerology talk about it.
Got you. All right.
So let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned corporate America and capitalism. I'm not a fan of capitalism, but I know you always have been. I'm curious to know, and this is Bo, some of your thoughts too about capitalism.
Well, let me be the first to say that capitalism is a failure. Capitalism will never work. Capitalism can't work. Its cyclical nature dictates that it can't work. Supply, demand, it doesn't work. What works is what we have an opportunity at our door right now with the way these corporations are saying, we stand with Black Lives Matter. We understand. We're sorry. We want to do this. We want to do that. Yeah, it makes a nice hashtag, and it might get you a nice bump in your advertising dollars. But what happens when you put that corporate influence on your lobbyist in Washington to enact policies that protect African Americans and thusly all Americans? That's when that shit matters. Your hashtags, your little golf clap don't mean shit to me. When it comes time to Congress and everybody to start getting together and making some shit, are you putting your pressure? Are you putting your corporate will behind that Black Lives Matter hashtag, or are you just giving me window dressing? And Black people need to be paying attention to who's saying what, why, when, and how, and where, and we need to hold them accountable with our votes and our dollars. And start supporting Black businesses. Buy Black first.
So
if they ain't Black,
I'm trying to understand with all of these businesses that are trying to rectify all these different things. They're going to throw $1 million here, $100 million here, donate this to all these different things that are Black agendas. But like, where's that money at? Where is it going? Who's going to touch it? I don't understand. Like that part, I'm not really understanding.
Well, from what I've seen, some companies have donated to organizations who are get toward inner city youth improvement or police reform or whatever their particular thing is.
So they're donating money being funneled to the same fucking places. That's my point. Like, it's just more money being funneled to the same fucking places, institutions, businesses, correct?
What do you suggest?
I have no suggestions. That's why I have you brothers on. I'm trying to build an understanding. Quit playing,
the only thing that I suggest is that we get organized.
Agreed.
Everybody. Get organized according to your skill set. If you're in music, organize with musicians. Just start getting our songs out. If you're in filmmaking, organize that way. If you're a tech geek, organize that way. Everybody needs to organize and get under a court.
All right, so let's talk about some excerpts from your book. One of my arguments has been that Black people don't have a focused cultural practice, which means we have no agendas. I have been met with anger several times when I have made this comment to Black scholars and historians. My position is simple. Most Black people are guided by what is in front of their face through TV and social media instead of disciplined cultural practices.
Right. So as far as what I was talking about here, me being in Milwaukee, we developed our own culture. And I'm gonna go back to the reason that I'm down with capitalism. If it wasn't for capitalism, the Black supremacy group, we wouldn't have been in power at all. We wouldn't even had the chance. See, what people don't realize, when you talk about capitalism, you have two things, right? And I usually ask people, so what is capitalism? What capitalism is, it's the difference between the public and the private sector. We were able to do a private sector, even though I know we're talking about culture here, we were able to benefit off the private sector and become our own entity within a system. Most of the time when people talk about capitalism, they're talking about the public sector, which would be socialism or communism, which is basically ran by the government. So right now, even the stuff that y'all were saying from voting and all that, that's the government. That's socialism or communism. So what they're doing right now, if we go, and I know I'm going somewhere else.
What's wrong with socialism?
So where does socialism work?
Everything that we have is socialism. Every service that you serve depend on your hospitals, your ambulances. Those are all things that communally we pay into that then get served by everybody. That's is socialism.
But who put it there? Who put the money there?
What is your point?
So we got somebody in the back that says seed money.
Who put the money there?
Is there
the people put the money there, right?
It's still a collective effort, which is the point I'm trying to make.
But the collectivism could be cooperative, could still run as an individual under the 14th Amendment. So you can still run a capitalism. If you give up your right as capitalism and you put the government in charge, I'm telling you, if the government comes after you, you put some people in charge, right, that have no business background, don't know anything about business. They're coming from their theories, because most of us just come from theories. We read other people's books, we say, oh, this works. Most of the stuff doesn't work because most of the authors never experienced anything. if you move as an individual, because you want to stay as an individual as black folks, you know what I'm saying? You definitely do not want white folks to be in your shit. And
I can agree with you on that.
And you can't do that in a socialist system, because a socialist system allows everybody to be in your shit. You want to make sure that your shit is separate as an individual, and you can protect yourself, like the Moors say. They talk about the 14th Amendment under the individual. You can protect yourself under the 14th Amendment as an individual and use a co-op. Under a co-op,
How do you do that?
under a co-op, you can have membership. Membership, right, can bring in who comes in or can allow people in or not. You see what I'm saying? So it's ways that you could do it under the capitalist system that you can't do under the socialist system. What you do is, when you do a socialist system, you allow everybody to come in. And they're gonna make laws to where everybody comes in. You don't, like I said, you don't want the motherfuckers in your shit. Trust me, you don't want these motherfuckers making rules for you, like me being a Nubian. You might be, let's say, a Hebrew Israelite, all right? Which is cool. I have my way of life, you have your way of life. We can both move as entities within our cultural practices to make shit happen and not allow other people to come in. But once you go into a socialist concept and a communist concept, because see, that's what they're trying to do with us with the police department right now. They're trying to put you under a state, a police state, right? To where the police is over you. You don't want that shit, because
we've already been in the police state.
Say again?
Black people have already been in the police state.
And that's what I'm saying. We need to get the hell up out that shit. And
okay, but here's the thing. This is what I want to propose. I understand what you're saying, but we are still basing our improvement or any system that we would like to have for ourselves on a system that still wasn't designed for us.
And I disagree, because in my book, I talk about Freemasonry. And I make the argument that Freemasonry is the reason that you have a capitalist system. So you went from the communal system, right, which was African. You went to the feudal system, which was European. You went to the mercantile system, which slavery happened in. And then you went to the Industrial Revolution. You went through 1, 2, 3. Now we're in the 4th Industrial Revolution. All right. This is nothing but a continuation from the communal system. Now you had socialism and communism that slipped in there in different countries like Russia. It didn't happen in America. They attempted to argue it for America. You had black people that were like, yo, we're looking for a different system. So they argued like Robeson, Paul Robeson, W.B. Du Bois, right? They argued for this. But people like Marcus Garvey, if you go back and read his stuff, he was going for capitalism. What's his name? Booker T. Washington. They were going for capitalism because they realized we have to do our own shit. We can't allow these motherfuckers, right, to come in and tell us, go ahead.
If y'all are watching live, make sure you comment in the comments. Yep. We got questions. Any questions?
But we're still spending their money.
We're spending who money?
The Federal Reserve Bank. The name for our World Bank, the Federal Reserve Bank. We're still spending their money.
It's our money as well, right?
No, it is not.
See, and that's
the government doesn't even own the dollars in your pocket, bro.
Of course it don't.
The government doesn't own the money in your pocket.
But yet still, you can get stuff from this so-called fiat money, right? Where we have a $1.2 to $1.7 trillion purchasing power. You're still allowed.
But it's still.
Let's get on that, because that's the next slide. How about that, y'all? Because this is getting real nice and deep, and I'm learning some shit a little too deep. So you make this claim is that African Americans spend 1.2 to 1.7 trillion. We spend it and don't produce our own goods. One could argue that we are a part of a production process because of our labor, which is a service that we sell to employers. This is true, but we don't own the means of production, which is a big ass problem. I had an ass in here, but you know, we had to emphasize that. So speaking of this dollar amount that Black people have in their possessions and we're willingly giving it out, is that a part of our detriment? Is that a part of our disorganization?
Yeah, because it goes back to we're not organized, right? I'm coming from a community, right? Most people don't come from communities, just to be honest, right? So we came and we collect. Go ahead. Go ahead.
How could you make such a blanket statement like
Oh,
that?
that's a serious statement. What community we come
Have you met most people?
What communities are there?
Have you met most people?
What communities are there? I dealt with many people during my time.
But you can't make blanket statements like that, bro. That's not fair. That's not fair. That's disingenuous. That's disingenuous. That's actually condescending.
But what community? I'm asking you a simple question. What communities are there out there?
What do you qualify as a community?
Okay, let's go to what is a community. A community is a group of people that own their own things, right? I know you're looking crazy and all that, so you ain't even listening to what I'm saying right now, but it's cool. They own their own things.
You assume much, my man.
Bro, I'm watching you, bro.
No, you're not.
I'm watching you, brother. Have their own language.
Is this not a part of the problem?
The part of the problem?
Yeah.
Go ahead, I'm gonna let him finish.
I'm gonna just say this. I try to fall back as a woman because a woman, you know, sometimes wants to let the men handle men things, but ego is a motherfucking problem. And if we can't like somehow get that shit in check and at least hear each other, everybody, then
This is not, I have no ego because I have no agenda.
1.2 trillion, we can't even fucking talk. Sorry.
It's all right. No, because what I'm saying, what I'm hearing when he says that is that it's more of that exclusionary stuff that we've already been disjointed in our culture, this people and that people. That's more of the same. That's more of the same exclusionary tactics. You say that people don't have or come from communities. I come from Bed-Stuy. That is a community. I come from Brooklyn, a series of communities. I'm with Georgia, the community down there. There's a community of basketball players.
What is your community?
Community of nerds. There are communities everywhere. How do you know why you're not gonna get nobody listen to you? Because you're down talking to them.
Because I'm down. I'm not down talking. If we're talking, we have to get to the point of solutions, right? And the thing is, to get to solutions, we have to go to the why.
Why what? What's the question?
Why are we to that point? Why are we to the point of where we're at now? We need communities. It's just plain and simple.
I don't understand how you're using the word community. In that phrasing is confusing.
Talk about community. We got somebody in the audience, in the background. You got a question or a comment?
I have a comment.
Can you speak up just a little bit so that the camera can hear you?
First of all, let me say I represent Land, Air, Water Bureau. That's the name of my brand. That's what I do. I do basically what you said. What you basically said in the young man's terms that you're talking to is that contract that you said doing private and public business, how he signed into that contract was his mother giving him that birth certificate. So what you want to do is stop doing business as that entity and start doing business publicly and become your own creditor, aka debitor. What you're saying as far as community, there are few communities. But we have the brother talking about how he disagrees with you. You have hoods, you know what I'm saying? The hood and the community is two different things. There's a lot of communities.
Hey,
they're all set, Nation Islam, Christianity, community, Muslim. The communities all over the place. Farms, they all link in together. They call co-ops. You know, whether he want to see them or not, they exist. They don't publicize them because they know that's where the power is. You know, people will take the power from the government and put them in their hands. So what you doing, as far what you're trying to tell him that he don't understand is that it's
I understand perfectly, my man. I just disagree.
There ain't no disagreement.
If you're gonna talk, at least step around in front of the camera.
You can disagree as far as you want, but it's some people who making money off capitalism.
Yeah.
You know, and capitalism does not have to disclude.
And capitalism is always gonna step on the man at the bottom of the pile.
Ain't nobody gave him the
Capitalism is always gonna step on the neck of the man at the bottom of the pile.
But he's also agreeing with you too, Bo, in the community thing, because I think it again is how you all are defining community. You have your own definition. He has his. He's experienced sort of a black, almost utopia kind of community. We haven't.
Right, I saw the picture.
We haven't experienced it in that sense. So I think that that's the distinction. And that ain't no shit to be like arguing back and forth about. I'm gonna just put my little 2 cents with that.
Nah, I just brushed him like that exclusionary.
The contracts, the more shit and all that. I don't know nothing about that.
That had nothing to do with the law. The law is the 14th Amendment that the brother spoke of, and that 14th Amendment that he spoke of, it basically includes you or excludes you depending on what's called your status.
talking about a caste, so you can speak faster. I'm very intelligent.
All right.
So here's the thing. How do we move forward? Because we can talk all day. We can talk about problems. We can talk about
Can I
all
go
kinds
first?
of shit, solutions, but like, what are the steps? What steps need to be in place for us to move forward? Black economics.
Okay.
But this is for the guys on camera right here. But I'm gonna get the feedback in a minute from you too.
The greatest, in my opinion, the greatest problem facing Black people is religion. Our dire adherence to this deity in the sky that's supposed to save us from all of what? That's the thing that's going to keep us from getting together, because the non-believers and the believers are going to always come at each other. We're not going to be able to have a discourse because the non-believers are going to have their way, the believers are going to have the other way. That's after we get past that, then we can start talking about everything else.
What do you think?
You're going to be lost.
I think I'm going to disagree with you. I know we've been disagreeing a lot. Religion is a part of the culture, so I believe that each group, right? Each group should create their own culture. If you have the Hebrew Israelites, they should get their own. The Muslims, they should get their own. The Moors should get their own. Everybody should get their own, right? If we have something to trade amongst each other, because we're not going to agree. If you go back to Africa before the kidnapping, there was 2,000 different languages, so we weren't agreeing in Africa.
We're a tribal people.
Right? So until, and that's a good word, thank you. Until we build our tribes, our certain tribes that we, the like-minded people, because that's something I wrote about in the book as well, like-minded people, you build, but you build with your like-minded people. And if you have something to trade, you trade with other groups, Black groups, before you trade with anybody else. We're not going to get along. We showed it on here that we're not going to get along, right? Because you have your belief, I have my belief. I'm cool with that. But I think that's the first thing that we have to do. Then in my version of a community, everybody can't do the same jobs. You have to have certain people doing certain jobs in order to build your community, right? I would say go buy, apply the land, put your houses and stuff on there, have your own educational system. And it's like Mondragon, Spain. Mondragon, Spain right now has a $12 billion corporation, which is a co-op in Spain. In 2008, when Spain got hit and everything fell in Spain, the co-op, Mondragon, Spain, kept going. All they do is teach their stuff about business, you know, the businesses that they do. Go start your own, create your own businesses. If you have a business that my group wants to take part in, we'll come and trade with you. If it's a fiat money, it's a barter system, whatever system we decide to use, if we come up with our own fiat system, right? But we have to get back, we have to get to the point of producing our own goods and services. Yes, we have a lot of services out there, but not too many goods. People are starting to do the toilet paper and stuff like that, you know, so we know the system, and we know how to make it happen. We just have to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Anything else you add to that? We got a question here. Comment?
No.
Brother Poe, I say this with the deepest respect, and I don't know you, but I love you. I know, but I love you. But I'm gonna say this: all races are alike. Yeah, they figure a reason not to deal with you for whatever reason. They come up with their mind. They hate you for that reason. When on the other hand, someone who's not racist, they look at the brother look at, okay, we're gonna trade, we're gonna build, we're gonna use each other to get bigger. You know what I'm saying? Instead of, okay, religion is our problem. Okay, homelessness is our problem. Okay, women are our problem. Instead of, okay, we're gonna use him for this, him for that. It's all direction and where your mind is. You know what I'm saying? And if you're gonna build, or you're gonna let our differences prevent us from building these communities that you said. Because if you say, okay, what's our problem? You know what I'm saying? And you say religion or racism or lack of economics or lack of education, that's where your mind is. Instead of saying, okay, we ain't got no problem. What we're gonna do is we're gonna build this, We're gonna put you here, put you there. You the farmer, you the money man, you the doula, instead of okay, religion is our problem. Okay, racism is it's our thinking. When you're thinking that, you know, I ain't got no time to worry about what our religion.
So where racism is just a thought I had.
We know the issues. What's the problem? What's the solution?
So he's saying, Bo, that, you know, it's all about, and this is kind of what we talk about, mind science.
Give it so much energy to things that bring that we actually give power to the things that are bringing us down. You know, by putting our focus there. Even with, I hate to say it, I don't want to step on no toes or or shame anybody or make them feel like they're doing something wrong. Even with our protesting, we're still not dealing with issues. We're dealing with something that's making us feel uncomfortable in this world. Versus saying, and this is what they're saying, versus saying to ourselves, well, what are our strengths? Let's put our energy towards our strengths. And we know that we have different levels of that, within our community, within the whole community as a whole, but we're not putting that energy there. All this time here in America, we've been spending. I've seen one group, and that was the Garveyites, who said, well, I'm not gonna sit back and just worry about what somebody thinks about my religion, what somebody thinks about my race, what somebody thinks about my social economic status. I'm gonna take my energy and what I have right now and like-minded people, and I'm gonna start this White Star Line.
That's mission statement. The only mission statement was we going back to Africa, and not racism. They said our mission statement, we going back to Africa. We gonna finish these two broke ass boats, full boat, iron boats they came across,
And raise money.
and we gonna get over there. Yeah?
All right, so that was a whole lot said. I do agree. I think sometimes we look at the cup as empty instead of half full. We have to look at everybody bring something to the table and just kind of.
We got any combatants? We got any fighters there? Anybody that's ever been in a fight like boxing or martial arts or something?
Boxing match,
I've
fighters.
been like 400 boxing matches on that.
We got one fighter.
Okay, so the thing is, if you ever been hurt, hit, or knocked down, when you get knocked down, you're on the canvas. The first thing you want to do is assess your weakness and then tap into your strength to stand up. What we are right now as a people is marshaling where our weaknesses are so that we can shore them up. So we have a straight, strong foundation for when we marshal our strengths to move forward. So they don't come behind us and kick us in the ass later. You can't just turn around and say, oh, well, we're just going to do that over there. This ain't really a problem.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
You're going to be burying landmines in your own garden, in your own front yard, then throw a party. They're going to always blow up on you. You can't turn a blind eye to things that make you uncomfortable.
But see, the problem with that, right, is that it's not a problem, but we already have the answers of why we're weak. It ain't like
we all have those answers.
We have
all have them? Is it common culture now?
We have the answer. And if you look at right, if you look at any society, any nation, it's only been less than 10% that actually did the governing, right? So we have these answers, and you have the different organizations from the Garveyites, the Nuwaubian Nation, the Nation of Islam, the what else is there? The Black Madonna, the Moors, the Ansar Set. We have the what they kicked our ass. We already know. We got taken out by the feds. I've been sitting here for 18 years trying to figure out how they took us the fuck out. 18 years. I pretty much know how they took us out. I know where because I was in some of the negotiations that motherfuckers were fucking up. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna tell them straight up, the Nuwaubians were fucking up in the negotiations. Okay. You know what I'm saying? That put us in a bad position. We have the reasons, right? Most of the reasons, not all, because they're gonna come up with some more shit of why we getting our ass whooped.
So with that said, we don't want to hold y'all too long. Any last fleeting comments before we get out? It was getting good, but you can't. Absolutely. We got somebody that's gonna say something. In the meantime, G-Spot Therapy, Sex Tarot, coming very soon. Y'all check it out. At G-Spot me on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook.
With that being said, I have a program, Speaking of Solutions. My solution is Land, Air, Water Bureau. B-U-R-E-A-U, but those can't spell bureau. Land, Air, Water Bureau. I free people. I update statuses.
Land, Water, Air Bureau.
Land, Air, Water Bureau.
Land, Air, Water Bureau. We're gonna make sure that we have them
I'm
listed on the
basically
next show.
updating the status. I'm sure you're very familiar. I'm not approaching you from no Moorish angle, no black angle, just a 14th Amendment angle. You hear me? I'm making people tax-free.
I have fun. I don't know about y'all.
I'm making people tax-free.
No, I have fun. No, you know me. I love a big discussion. You know me. I don't take none of this personal. This is all just in the spirit of conversation.
We need these types
I know
of
I just come off like
We
a
need
monster
this
sometimes, but she tell you I'm a pussycat. Don't mind me. I don't bite.
I'm sure link in the profile, whatever you do. I'm sure link in the profile.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, bro.
I love you too, man. Everybody got to do something, man. We ain't gonna always agree on it, but you know, it's just the way. It's the way I chat it up sometimes. It ain't personal, brother.
We might have to do a part 2 real soon. All
That's
right,
it. That's what's up.
y'all. G-Spot.
G-Spot. Happy birthday, Jay.